About a couple of years ago, I launched a video called Book Rescue. It was the pilot episode that would soon turn into what we would make into full seasons here. And that very first guest was Thomas A. Bradley, good friend of mine. Actually, we've come to know each other since we'd worked with each other in the Book Rescue series and prior to that. Now, Thomas is actually a retired Green Beret. Yeah, Army Green Beret. That's pretty serious stuff. He was a special ops officer, so that was pretty cool. He's a virologist, and also he's a full-time author. Now, if you want the full story about Thomas A. Bradley, go take a look at it at bookrescueshow.com. But now we're going to kind of follow up with him. How has things been going since we did Book Rescue? Now, the really funny part about this is we actually recorded this about, 6 or 7 months ago. So he's actually had some ups and downs since then, but you're going to find some great information here from Thomas. What did he get from Book Rescue? What were the actual results? What is he doing now after Book Rescue? And is he seeing the same results? And also he digs a little bit into Facebook ads and how he's able to get a cost-effective solution to his promotional needs. And so without any further ado, I can't wait for you to jump into this interview with Thomas A. Bradley. Hey, Thomas. So we have been jib-jabbing for about 15 minutes now. And I figure it was high time that we actually hit the record button, right?
Yeah, that's it. I know us, we can go on forever. So
yeah, I think there's been times we've done 2-hour chats and then realized we didn't do anything for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it was like we were supposed to talk for like 20 minutes, or I had a half an hour window with you, and when we were done, it was like 2.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, we have a tendency to.
Yeah, it's
multiple subjects.
We're talking for long periods of time. When I start getting hungry after a while, I'm like, okay, we probably have been going a little too long. I might want to clock out here, Thomas. All this jib-jabbing, though, I brought up real briefly, and I thought, let's go ahead and discuss this. You did the pilot episode for what's now the Book Rescue series over on the main channel. Share your thoughts, and I'm not looking to be showered with praise, by the way. Share your thoughts about the process and the behind-the-scenes look at some of the stuff.
First of all, I thought it was amazing. I mean, showering you with praise or not, you deserved it. What I got, it blew my mind. I wasn't ready for any of that. As I said in that episode, you had contacted me months, maybe even a year or so before that, and because I was having problems with my keywords, and you jumped in there and said, let me see if I can help. And you did. You turned it around. At that point, I think I was spending $60 and making about 30 or 40. So after I spoke with you and we settled everything out and did the keywords the right way, it turned around completely opposite. I was spending 30 to make 60 or 70. But the process itself was just amazing because there were so many people involved with that. And, I had to work with, indirectly, I had to work with Brian Meeks for the setup of the book descriptions. And you had tagged him to do one, and then we were supposed to follow that template and do the rest of them. And it was an experience for me because I'm not a short keyword or description writer. I'm more of, if you look at the back of a Stephen King book, it goes all the way down telling you the story, sort of, and that was the way I had approached it. So reworking it his style, where each sentence is short and has to lead you to the next sentence and then the next sentence, it was difficult for me, but it was so worth it. And then there was everything that came with it. Ava Fails with the Book Rescue and setting up the website and the stuff that I don't normally even touch because in fact I haven't messed with it since she set it up because I'm afraid to ruin it. I'll go in and look at it, but I haven't put anything up. If I do, I'll say, I had talked to Ava and I said, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with this thing. If I need you to put something up, what would you charge me? And she gave me a fee and it was reasonable. I said, okay, I'm just going to send you something in. So that's kind of, but just to have that, I had a website prior to that on Wix that I made myself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were little kids that could have done a better job than I did.
But that's not too far off for anybody, man. A lot of kids could do some amazing things these days.
So compared to what Ava gave me and what I had, it was like 1,000% better.
Yeah.
And then working through Fiverr with Olivia and the book designs. Oh my God.
She's awesome.
Okay.
You had great briefs though in your defense. Like honestly, I think if anybody else approached the situation and goes, Olivia, just do it. And see, I've done, I did a gig once before where I just said, hey, here you go. Just look at this niche and there you go. And the cover came back and I was really underwhelmed and I'm like, that's on me. I'm like, I looked at that brief. It was a horrible brief. So she just had to guess her way through it. Your briefs were very specific. You're like, this is what I want and here and here and here. And then she just kind of put that all together. Am I right?
Oh, she blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
What I did was I had an idea for each book cover.
Yeah.
In fact, I had already made my own, which I will never, ever, 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 ever do again. Do not do that. Ever. I don't care if you're broke and poor. If you're gonna publish, spend the $30 or $40 to have a book cover made. You will not regret it. Do not ever make your own book covers. Anyway, I had made my own, so I had ideas about what I wanted to do, and I had made them up in GIMP. So I basically sent them to her and said, "This is the idea. What can you do with it?" And I expected, okay, with her expertise, she's going to look at my little crayon GIMP drawings, and I'm going to get back, mine's a 2, and I'm going to get back a 10. And with the reveal, I'm staring at like 110 instead of just 1 to 10.
It broke the scale.
Yeah, it did. So, and then Dan putting together the video and all the hard work he went through to finalize, and the team was amazing, and I loved working with you guys. Although I gotta be honest, I was a little embarrassed getting all that stuff. I mean, I just do what I do, and I didn't really feel like I deserved to get such a magnificent setup all the way across the board. Man. And I will ever be grateful to you guys for that.
It was my pleasure, and by the time this podcast airs, I believe we should have season 2 wrapped up, and some people are probably going to be like, did you see what Robert and Sarah got? Like, so we were just happy to do it. I think so long as it enriched your life and got it to where you felt like you were back on the right track, that's what we were shooting for. And speaking of, so the dust settled. It's been over a year since we did the airing. I think it was the beginning of February of 2021 that we aired.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's been about a full year. I mean, we started working with each other December of 2020. That's when we really started shooting the videos and everything else, or the video.
And going through the,
Oh, man, that was crazy, And
the keywords.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, boy, but I tell you, it was worth it. And so now what people are probably curious about, like, hey, you went and did Book Rescue. Like, what's the results? Did you see some success, like, right away? Or has it just been a gradual, like, build? What's that look like for you, man?
Well, to be honest with you, I saw success right away. It was amazing. It was right after the Book Rescue had launched, and I didn't go back and look at the actual numbers, but I was going from, at that point, selling maybe 3 books a week and maybe 1 paperback, to selling 7 or 8 and 2 or 3 paperbacks. Yeah. And it built up for a couple of months. In fact, all the way through July, I guess it was, or June, somewhere around there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it just dropped off. And it wasn't because there was anything wrong with the Book Rescue or anything I was doing. For some reason, the Amazon ads just went crazy. I wasn't getting anything, and it's not like I was overbidding or underbidding. it just died for some reason. I got, for July, I think I spent $8 and made 15. Now that's the worst I've ever done in my life, and it had nothing to do with Book Rescue.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in July or June, July, and August. It just kept getting worse. I think $17 was the top in August. So I got through to September, and that ticked up a little bit. I think if I remember right, I made about $24.
Okay, not bad.
And this is way lower than what happened right after Book Rescue. Way lower. And then I hit October, and I said, "Oh Lord, this is my month. I'm a horror writer.
Yeah.
So October is where I'm either going to make all my chips or I'm not." And Amazon ads were doing absolutely nothing for me.
It can happen.
No matter what I did or how I treat my new keywords, whatever, they died. I don't know why. I said, I got to do something. So I talked to my wife, the finance minister. And a few years ago, I had tried Facebook ads. It was a horrible disaster. I think I spent $30 and sold one book. And that was like 5 or 6 years
It's like
ago.
paying people to
And
take
I
your
think-
book. Doesn't it suck when it happens like
yeah,
that?
Yeah. Oh, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I think that it was set up differently than it is now too. But I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday, so I can't go back 5 years. But I came across this, and I'm going to give a shout out to Keith Wheeler. Keith Wheeler posted sell more books on Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So I watched the video and studied the video several times. For me, I have to go through things like 44 times before I get the idea.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife, I said, we got to invest some money. It's October. If I don't make money now, I'm never going to make it. This is Halloween, my month.
Yep.
So we talked it over, and she gave me a budget. And she said, you can spend X amount of dollars. And if we lose it, we lose it. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So I think she gave me $250 to spend. And I said to myself, I know this is going to be a failure. I know. As soon as I get to $50, I'm not going. That's it. I'm cutting it off.
Yeah.
Woe and behold, following the setup, how Keith told me how to do it, and putting it up and holding my breath. The first month, October, I spent $200, and I made $256.
Nice.
45. So that was a $56 profit.
Take it.
You're not going to run out and buy exactly. Every month since then, I haven't calculated them all up, but every month since then, it's gone up and up. I think the next month I made a $72 profit until, for example, this past January, I was running my ads. I spent $365 and made $487.98, which is $122.98 profit.
Yeah.
It's incrementally been going up. It's not jumping.
It's a
Okay,
slow
I'm making
build.
$1,000.
Right. It's
Right.
not like you have like a
And-
ton of discretionary expense, but you're just taking what you're earning and then just kind of
And
rotating.
throwing it right back into
Very cool.
exactly. And as long as each month it keeps going
Yeah.
up, then I don't mind rechanneling all that money
Yeah.
into the Facebook ads. So I'm very appreciative again to Keith because I would have never had the gumption to try this again, and I did not know what else to do. I didn't know where else to add. BookBub ads have never done anything for
Interesting.
me. Never. Well, because I don't run specials. I'm in KDP Select most of the time, so I either have to sell it what it is, and that's the BookBub. They like their 99 cents this month or whatever.
Yeah, or the free stuff.
And I was just totally at a loss as to what to do. So I said, you know what? Let's just give this Facebook thing a try, and it's either gonna work or it's gonna crash and burn. So let's see. And I've been really, really happy with it so far.
Yeah, especially if it's
There's
returning
some-
something. You're not
It
paying
really
for
is.
people to take your book at this point. So this is pretty interesting. Did you start it out? What was your budget per day starting out? Was that like $5? And
I set
you
it up at
increase it
$5
since
per
then?
day.
so you've kept it at $5
Nope.
then.
Yeah, and it's interesting that caveat about that, and I think Keith mentions this too.
Yeah.
That is not a strict $5 a day. If you have, say, 2 books going, you can spend $12 or $13 in one day.
Okay.
They look at it as $5 a day, but you won't spend any more than $35 in 7 days.
Okay.
So they can spend your money faster each day and then slower as you get to the
So it's
end of the
fluctuating
week or
each
whatever.
day then.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it does.
Okay.
So you can't look at it and say, "Oh, what happened? I only have a $5 budget and I spent $8 today." Well, towards the end of the month, that'll balance out. So, and there's some other, I guess, caveats. If you're going to do this, yeah, I would look into it. I would definitely find Keith's video and watch that. But there's also some other freaky things you got to be aware of. Me worried about losing money because I don't have tons to spend.
Yeah.
Its reporting system is freaking behind. Like you'll say, see you it's like Amazon. It's price per click, not impression.
Right.
So you'll go in and you'll look, and it'll say you've had 1 click at 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can deal with that. 2 hours later, you'll go in and it'll say you still have 1 click, but now that click costs 35 cents.
Yes.
And an hour later after, it'll say you have 1 click and that costs $1.35. Don't freak out. It just hasn't shown you
It's
the
catching
other
up
clicks
then.
that have come in.
Gotcha.
And eventually it'll come down to, okay, you spent 18 cents a click on this and all these per return. Yeah. But it's freaky when you first see it. You thought,
Like, what's going
how
on?
can the same click? Yeah, how can that be $1.35 when they already paid for it at whatever?
So that's really, really cool. Do
So-
you anticipate that you'll increase your daily budget? Not that I'm trying to pressure you into it. Or you think you go up to like say $6
haven't
or $7?
I haven't thought about that, to be honest with you. I've been kind of happy with, because
You're
other
afraid
thing
you're going
with
to
me
break
right
it. You're
now-
superstitious, aren't you?
No, it's not so much that is that I have to be careful about my budget,
Right.
and it was worked so well that I will run 2 books at the same time. So now that puts my budget at $10 a day, which builds up really fast. So I got to be very careful. If I move to each one to 7 or 8, then it would become a little too
It adds
freaky
up.
for me.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the 2 ads running at the same time necessarily. Do you think you would get more success if you just funneled all of the budget into 1 book instead of 2?
I did that originally. I only ran 1 book. I mean, and when I started in October, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with this thing. So I picked 1 book, and it did really well. So I thought, okay, I made this money. I'm going to funnel it back in. Let's try 2 books for a week and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I put in 2 books for a week, and the sales both books were selling. Boom, boom,
Nice.
boom. I mean, not, 2 million books a day, but over the course of, since I started advertising way, way back in 2010, not knowing anything about what I was doing, if I sold, like I said before, 3 books a week or 3 books a month, whoa, I sold 3 books. I've had days where I've sold 5 books a day plus 3 paperbacks. I have never ever experienced that. I mean, I used to say to my wife, if I could sell 1 book every day, that would be 30 books. That's great. I don't have the numbers here, but recently, I think last month, I sold 47 paperbacks and 47 ebooks and 11 paperbacks. And, well, for example, for the last 90 days for Blood Tracks, I've sold 34 ebooks, 14 paperbacks, 426,537 pages.
Oh, good
on
stuff.
Kindle Select.
Yeah.
So, basically, that comes out to about 54 books per pages,
Okay. Gotcha.
or something like. There's 447 pages per book according to the thing.
Yeah.
And I had 426,537. So you divide that and you figure out the number.
Yeah.
So keeping it in Kindle Select, they're kind of equal. I'm getting a lot of pages and a lot of sales, and so it's just a question of playing with it and watching it and don't letting it get ahead of you.
Interesting.
It's the best I can say. Yeah.
So I think this is kind of cool
month,
that you're getting results on 2 books a little bit better than if you were just to go 1 book. That's pretty exciting, especially since you're so prolific. This gives 2 different windows of opportunity of new readers coming in and discovering your work. Smart.
It's actually a little better than that because I've learned to play with it over the last couple of months. I'll run Blood Tracks and Relic for 15 days or whatever, however long I feel like it. I will take them out and put in Shadow Demon and Primordia. Let them run for 15 days.
Interesting. So you're cycling them then.
I'm cycling my books so that these people are not seeing the same ad all the time. They're seeing the same author.
Yeah.
And here's the really cool part that I like about this. Whether you had a return on, whether I sell 20 books or none on a particular day, these people are sharing on Facebook.
Nice.
I have 70 shares, right. So they're spreading the word for me. This is the old word of mouth. I read this book, you got to read it type thing that I've been looking for forever, because that's the method I grew up in. My friend would tell me, did you read King's latest book? No, go get it.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing I have 59 likes on one ad and 70 shares, and
not bad.
That works in itself, even without a sale for that day.
Yeah.
It's knowing that, it's getting distributed beyond what I'm advertising.
Yeah. That's good.
So,
well, hey, man, we can talk about this for hours at a time, but I'm going to have to wrap up today's podcast, and I always leave my guests with one question, and that is, what advice would you give to aspiring authors and self-publishers?
Take it a day at a time. Write every day, whether you feel good or you don't feel good, even if it's only a paragraph, because if you let it sit, you lose it. The other thing is what I said earlier before, I'll get to that in a second. The other thing I would say is just network with people. Network with people that are like you and willing to help you and not pull you down and tell you can't do it. Just be positive, because there's going to be a ton of people out there that say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. Well, forget them. You can. If you want to do it, you can do it. Yeah. And the other thing is what I already said. Don't make your own book covers, ever. Bad. I've done it too many times and learned the hard way.
Big shout out and thanks to Thomas for taking some time out of his day to spend some time with us. Hey, folks, you ever get yourself an opportunity to go over to thomasabradley.com. Help support an indie author if you're into some really good horror books. I love Thomas's work, by the way. Huge fan of his stuff. Go take a look at it over on his website. Again, that's thomasabradley.com. Till then, I will see you next week in another interview.